Good evening. Welcome everyone to tonight's meeting of the Cass County Board of Commissioners. Start out the meeting with a moment of silent prayer. And we go on to the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which is one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Item on the agenda is a public hearing tax schedules. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing? So moved. Second. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? We now have the public hearing. Thomas Bernard.
This is just what we presented, the schedule of values to the board 30 days ago. So we're to have a public hearing, for any public comments on the schedule of values. Then after the public hearing, if no comments are made, the board is satisfied that they will, make a motion to adopt the schedule.
Questions?
Mr. Chairman, since there's no public comment, I'll move the board.
Excuse me, I put my name on the.
No, I put, are you, wait, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you.
Is this for the revaluation?
Yes.
They're gonna fix you right up.
Oh, that is so fantastic. Thank you. It'll show me correct choice of my shoes this evening. I don't think I need a mic. Here we go. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Vicki Hastings. My residence is at 336 West Main Street. And I just wanted to bring to your attention that your public notice has a different venue location. And I wanted to bring that to light. It did not say the library, it specifically said the old courthouse. So I think it's very difficult to have a public hearing when we're not in the venue that we advertised for. So just wanted to bring that to your attention. We certainly want to hear the information though tonight. I see several folks are in the audience, but I do think you may need to reconsider having another hearing where it's publicly notified in the correct venue. Thank you.
So with that being brought out, the same fact.
Mr. Chairman, could we address the clerk now to actually see a copy of that public notice?
Yes.
Maybe a good idea.
I think it was scheduled, I think, for the I think so. That's where we were meeting when we presented the schedule of values. I mean, I don't know.
If that's the case, then we should probably reschedule public hearing at a later time.
Pretty sure it's in there.
Thank you. Mr. Bernard, we need 30 days from today.
No, it was 30 days from the time of the meeting, so the next meeting, we can probably have the public hearing. As long as it was 30 days from the time, if I'm right, Gary, 30 days from the time we presented schedule of values.
In that event, Mr. Chairman, it's within the pleasure of the board wish to postpone the public hearing, it may be appropriate to make a motion to postpone the public hearing to the next regular scheduled commissioners' day of the whole business. But may want to hear further comment.
Anyone have any more comments? Let's be heard. Give a second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed. Motion carries. Postpone that to the next meeting.
And Mr. Chairman, I've had one appeal for personal property. Was Conterra. Don't know if it's not on the agenda, but we have Ryan LLC is the tax representative to appeal that. I talked to the Department of Revenue on this. They're appealing in 5 or 6 counties, fiber optic, same as dark fiber. But Conterra put extra fiber in when they were laying the original line. And the Department of Revenue suggests that the board deny that appeal, because they haven't presented any evidence that the fiber optic is obsolete. And I don't know if anybody's here from Ryan LLC.
Anyone here for my LLC?
My suggestion is to deny that appeal. Lack of evidence.
Mr. Chairman, do we need to come out of the public hearing before we see? No, we're not having a public hearing. We had a motion to go into one.
There was a, sorry, so Chairman, there was a motion to postpone the public hearing, but Commissioner Yarborough, you make a valid point. Maybe we should take an official motion to come out of the public hearing first.
Have a motion. So the motion. That's right.
Sam.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed. We're back to open session. Motion to postpone. We have a second.
Second.
All right, all those in favor of postponement? Aye. Aye. All those opposed? Make it carry. The next item. is tomorrow with the
Conterra Ryan LLC. Make a suggestion that the board deny that appeal. They have not presented any evidence. Department of Revenue recommend that all counties deny that appeal also.
And I know representatives here from that company tonight, so they're saying that they recommend we deny.
We deny the appeal.
Same. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, is public comments. Take the sign up sheet. Thank you. John Clay.
Good evening. My name is John Claggett. I reside at 108 J Lane, Providence, North Carolina. There have been multiple reports of shots fired on social media, both in the town of Yanceville and at various places within Castle County. Some of these reports have been verified and some have not. Some of those that have been verified have resulted in woundings and death. The only municipality to publicly respond to these current issues is the town of Yanceville. With their plan to light up darker areas of the town with 50 more streetlights, This just so happened to be addressed at a joint public meeting last Thursday that also hosted a locked door and an armed deputy. Where's the same compassion and concern for the safety and welfare of our citizens that the stewards of Caswell County displayed for a historic statue and zoning prospects? The absence of emergency communication notifications and your silence is deafening. Thank you.
Next person up on public speaking, Vicki Hastings.
I already made my comment.
Okay, all right, thank you, ma'am. If there are no further public comments, we'll move on to recognitions. Recognition by the board.
Mr. Chairman, it was definitely an oversight on my part at the last meeting. So I'll recognize them now. I take this time to recognize our county veterans, those that have served, those that are serving. I'm sure that we all appreciate the sacrifice that many of them have made. And because of them, we can sit around and have these meetings like this. Nowhere else in the world. Wholeheartedly agree. We have our problems, granted, but there's nowhere else in the world like the United States. And I thank them for their sacrifice.
Anyone else? There are no more. We'll move on to approval of the agenda. Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion carries. Been approved. Approval of the consent agenda. Any questions? Pleasure, board.
Move to approve.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, likewise. Motion carries. Consent agenda is approved. Next up is discussion items. Collection Agency for Emergency Management Services, Barry Lynch.
Good evening, Commissioners. The first thing to present to you is y'all should have gotten a copy of a proposal from Lifeline Collections. Present this to you again. For the last 2 years, we have about $753,000 worth of bad debt. This is debt that is over 180 days. Our current billing company will work the claim for 180 days. And at that point, it's turned over to bad debt. We did collect almost $1.3 million last year, but we do have roughly $350,000 per year in bad debt that we have. Lifeline Collections is part of, has just been purchased by our billing company that we currently use. So the transition to them, it's all kind of under one umbrella. It would be an easy transition for our bills, for our collection to go over to them. If we turn everything over to them, their average is about a 6% collection rate, which is not a huge amount. And of that 6%, they get 20% of it. So $750,000. We're estimating about $36,000 that we would actually estimated funds that we would get. Doesn't seem like a lot, but if it's $5, it's more than we had. The process that they go through, once they get the collection, it's turned over to a collection. They verify addresses. They do skip tracing to make sure that all the addresses are correct. And then they're sent letters out every 30 days until it's collected. They will also dedicate 60 hours a week of telephone follow-up or messages for just our accounts. So, like I said, I presented this before, but I felt like that since this company is part of the umbrella of our billing company that we already have, it's a good time to look at this option again.
You saying they only get of the 750, they would average getting just 6% of that?
Yes, sir. That's kind of the net. Sorry, it's kind of what they're collecting on. A lot of those debts we're not gonna get anyway. But that's kind of the national average or the average. This is the fourth company that I've gotten quotes from, and all of them are 5 to 6% is what they estimate that they would collect. This company is actually about 3% to 5% less than the other three proposals. And they have a flat rate. The other companies, depending on how old the debt is to how much their percentage is, as it goes up to other companies up to 50%. And they said that we could go back, if we started now, we could go back 2 years and start the collection from 2 years back.
How, I know they're delinquent after 180 days.
Yes.
How long does this company pursue after the 180?
As long as we tell them to. We can set up protocols in-house that says once it gets to, and I'm just picking a number, 5 years, then it cuts off and it's written off at that point. With the bad debt, we do debt set off now. And last year we collected 2023, we collected $29,000 from debt set off. 22, we collected $25,000 from debt set off. And they will be put into collections and bad debt simultaneously. So if it gets collected in one area, it'll be taken off of the other area.
This company will take 20% of any amount collected, correct?
Yes, sir. And we don't pay anything unless they collect something.
There's been the reservations on the part of past boards not to implement the collection.
Honestly, I think it's perception was what was brought up multiple times of county government trying to collect or send the collection agencies for that. The last time I presented it, I'm not sure what the commission would ask about the possibilities of using the collection agency to do other departments within the county also. The two that I had prior to this did not do that, but Lifeline, they represent or collect for over 300 municipalities, I think. So they do whatever collections for county government you want, whether it's taxes or fines or whatever it may be, they collect that also. But my suggestion would be to start it and start EMS first, see how it works, and then add additional departments in at a later time.
I understand the perception, but it's also the flip side to that perception. If you let folks that owe a legitimate debt to the county slide and they're not expected to pay, other people that do pay are treated unfairly by that same formula. So I don't see a problem with going after folks that owe legitimate funds to the county.
So there is no upfront cost, no cost at all unless they do to collect it.
Unless they collect, there's no county funds. And the way that they invoice it is, they take their part off the top and then they invoice us. They make a deposit every day through electronic funds or credit card, whichever. From start to set up, from saying we want to do it, it's 3 weeks till they're operational.
Questions or comments from the board?
I'll make a motion right now, there's no cost to Ken, to facilitate.
I'll second that.
We'll do roll call voting. Start with Ms. Quinn. Good. Aye. So, Mr. Ruth. Aye. Mr. Ruth. Motion carries unanimously. Next up, I'll let you can save your step. So addition to 2 grant funded community healthcare positions.
I'm gonna pass these out. So this is an actual job description, and I apologize, I just got this today. I've been contacted by the Cassandra Shelton from the Reach Project. And the Reach Partnership. Give you a little bit of history. The Reach Partnership is who pays the salary for our community paramedic program. It's 100% funded by them. The Reach Partnership has been going on for about 6-7 years. It started out with community health workers and for the first iteration of the grant. Then the second one, they added the community paramedics, and that's when we got the funding for the community paramedic program. The Reach Partnership is a system to improve community health, involves a strategic effort to bring disparate and siloed health providers together, employs coordinated care teams to reduce available emergency department and hospital use, and address chronic disease and health factors. Coordinated care teams include cross-agency community health workers, care coordinators, community paramedics. Community health workers and community paramedics are trusted members of the community who are linked between healthcare, social services, and community members. Currently, the REACH program has 20 community healthcare workers, and 2 of which are specifically assigned to Caswell County. The REACH teams are liaisons between the community and available resources. We've had these 2 positions in the county. We're in year 3 of the grant right now. We've had 2 positions that's in the county. They have been housed at Compassion. Compassion has decided to relinquish their funds for those 2 positions, so it opened it up for us. EMS already has a business agreement with the REACH program. We have the agreements for data exchange already in place, so they felt that it would make an easy transition for us to do that. some of the outcomes for 21-23 for the REACH program. 3,592 connections to resources for 350 clients. Maintain an active minimum client load of 250 clients. Reduce emergency room visits by 45%. Reduce emergency room visits for 45% of clients. Connect 53% of clients to primary care. Connected 63% of clients to food and housing resources. These two positions would work together hand in hand with our community paramedic that we already have. It's 2 more years, it's 100% grant funded, and no cost to the county. Think that they're a valuable asset to the citizens of the county.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
I know how grants a lot of times can be a trap. You say 2 years.
Yes.
Are they on our employment after the 2 years?
No. Not unless y'all as commissioners vote to approve them, but they're hired knowing that it's a grant funded position. At the end of 2 years, if the Danville Regional Foundation don't pick it up for an additional period of time, they know that position is no longer there.
No cost to the county whatsoever.
No, sir.
And this will cut down a lot on the EMS travel. As far as will they go out and deal with the calls that I say nosebleed? How will these positions work?
No, they won't be doing that. What they will do to reduce EMS calls is it's just like the community paramedic. That's how she gets some of our frequent flyers that's not. We will send her out. Like one instance, we had a gentleman that called us on an average of 12 times a month. We sent the community paramedic out there to interact with him, get him set up. He hasn't called us since. And those are 12 calls that were not transported. Those non-emergency
That's what I'm
calls.
getting at. They will go out and do stuff like
Yeah.
that. They will alleviate some transportation possibly. If they can handle it on some.
Yeah, well, the community health workers would not be responding to actual calls, but they would be helping with patient education, the preventive side of everything to keep them from calling EMS, to get them hooked up with a personal physician. So they're not using us or they're not using the emergency department as their primary physician.
Question, how will that work if somebody was to call 911?
They're still gonna get an ambulance. These are completely non-emergency. They'll work with the community paramedic to arrange doctor's appointments. Sometimes, right now the community paramedic may go to a doctor's appointment with the patient, just so that they can get the true history and get the patient set up with the treatment plan that they want. Just from an EMS response numbers, and it's been 3 or 4 months ago that I ran the numbers. The patients that a community paramedic have been involved in, she's decreased the number of 911 calls from that group of people by 64%.
Whose insurance will they be under?
Ours.
So there will be a cost there.
Mm,
And when you say you send them out, that means 2 more vehicles we need.
currently they drive their own vehicle. and there'll be reimbursed mileage for it.
That we pay.
The grant pays for that.
Grant pays for that.
Yeah.
Grant pays for coast insurance and everything,
Yeah, grant pays, anything, any
cost related.
costs related to that, they will pay for. And aside from that, they've agreed to buy computers or whatever they would need as a start also. That wouldn't come out of county funds at all.
So no cost to the county, no obligation to extend it after the employment, after the grant runs out, if it does run out. And savings with cutting down on unnecessary calls for the EMS.
Correct.
What you do.
Yeah, and we just found out that I got the email Friday and we don't know the 100% details of it yet. And that's why I'm a little hesitant. But Medicare has agreed to pay $49 per visit for a community health worker to come to the house or to do home visits. That's something we just found out about last Wednesday. This is when they went to the class. I found out about it Friday. So we don't know how that's going to work, honestly. But there's a potential down the road for revenue from them, but we don't know how it's going to work yet.
Any other comments or questions from the board?
Chairman, I will approve.
Second. I have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next discussion item is Pelham Industrial Park project. Tony Smith.
Thank you, Commissioners. Tonight I want to brief you on a prospect we have interested in building a new manufacturing processing facility in Castle County. And we're looking at Pelham currently, two sites. Now, one site will be on the seed project, but I want to have an active plan in case that proposition is favorable. So I want to talk to the commission about having maybe a track allocated for them in the industrial park. Being, I don't know if you have a copy of the sketch in front of you or not, of the industrial park with the layout of the buildings and so forth. Yeah. Well, you were. Currently, they have 4 buildings, actually, located on the 80 acres, the Pelham Business Park. The westernmost building is 200,000 square feet. And this prospect's will need 100,000 square feet to start out with expansion. He's going to invest $10 billion up front. It's going to have 50 jobs up front, each paying more than the state average wage. So, like I said, I want to have a plan to where if he fails, the plan with Pelham seed project fails, we can just take them right across the road, keep going. But that's going to be the #1 choice, the seed project. But with the topo and the lay of the land there, there's some doubt in my mind as to whether they can make it work. But that is the #1 choice. We're ongoing discussions with PCC and the prospect and the architect engineers about making it work. But quite honestly, we're so late to the game, putting it in on that track, it may hold up the progress of the seed. But we don't want it.
If you leave you an offer on the price of the land.
We have not talked about that. Here again, this is just a fact of the plan. I want the board to be aware that we've got this prospect interested in coming into the county. They are currently in Virginia processing. It's an established company that's got quite a bit of network. So it's just a win-win for us. We pull it in.
You know, that land's skyrocketing right now.
Well, that's the reason I was thinking, if we could consider the westernmost part of that land, to pull in a $10 million investment, we still have the rest of the park, 80 acres, carve out 10 acres, 70 acres for industrial prospects, hotels, restaurants, whatever. We've got two sites, that's more visibility from the highway than the site I'm talking about, which may be better for a hotel location.
Is that on the side road with the rest area? On the back?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
That's prime hotel restaurant location there.
Here again, this Tim Main is missing one prospect that will be there hopefully years to come.
And how many jobs you said?
50 jobs.
It's paying above state average.
Yes, sir.
It's 8 acres that you're talking.
Yes, sir. 80 acres. The westernmost part of that 80 acres, about 8 to 10 acres is what they said they would need. But 100,000 square feet with expansion up to, I would say probably another 50,000 square feet. But 8 acres will just barely get that done.
That seed project, wasn't that, is that 8 acres across the road?
870 plus acres, yes, sir. But the topo is pretty bad on that project.
Right.
You can put, crop fields and things like that, but it's hard to put a big 100,000 square foot building.
Yeah, I've been over there. I just couldn't remember how much land we still had in the seed project.
We're trying to make that work, but, yeah, I just want to have a backup plan with the board, so we can discuss it again the next meeting or whenever we have a decision from BCC.
Do you have a feel from speaking with the company about them purchasing that land in the industrial park price wise? Do you think, I don't know if we don't want to discuss all that in an open meeting?
Actually, this is the same prospect that was presented to the board earlier this year with the idea of building a shell building. This was the plan all along. They knew they were going to have manufacturing needs. So it didn't come out, I can't say who it is, but it did come out, but it was mentioned as a shell building. Actually, this is the same prospect.
Okay.
Bear with me here. I hope I misunderstood. They're only wanting to buy 8 or 10 acres with the idea they would buy the rest, or was it the whole project?
8 to 10 acres is what they would need total.
But do they want to buy the whole site?
The whole 10 acres, yes, sir.
They don't want to buy the whole acre.
Because there's not that much road frontage.
8 to 10 acres is all they need.
But what I'm saying is you're cutting off the back side.
And this particular site, the Winston mode, you would not be cutting off the back.
Out of those pictures, which one are you talking about?
The 200,000 square foot building.
11,000 square foot right here.
Is it easy to put that picture up on the screen?
I don't have that picture. You have it on your computer, you can email it. You have it on your computer?
Yeah.
So this, if I'm looking at this drawing correctly, the 200K one, that's on the backside of the industrial park. That's not taking up the road frontage, the 29 highway. That's
No, not at all. Okay, most of it's on 700. Kind of stuck off to the side there. It lays good. It's a nice piece of property, but here again, I mean, you don't find many, investments that size, and many good jobs coming around. That's one more to be one of the major investments we've had in County for industrial.
Yeah, 50 come off of 20.
That 50K and that 75K, can they be accessed off of 29?
I see a road going to that. So it can be accessed from 700. I don't think you can access that from 29.
No, you can't. It's gonna make basically a small alleyway into all the rest of the property.
Actually, we could cut down the 200,000 square feet and change the size of the building, make it longer, as opposed to the bottom it is now, giving you more road frontage, 700 for other industries.
Yeah, I think the thing the board needs to look at is whether we want to take somebody want to come here, or we want to say, let's wait and see if somebody does come here. You know what I'm saying? So you got somebody interested in it.
These guys are ready to go. They're waiting on us. we're waiting on the state to.
So basically, you haven't got a definite on the seed project side to see if we can make that work.
Because we can't say for sure we can make it work. That's where we're at right now.
Okay.
And that was of the essence. I didn't want to waste any more time. Stringing that with the board. If we wanted to go that way, we did go that way. So I want to start the process tonight.
What do they make?
Back process.
Manager, are we gonna be able to use the existing road going in there, or will there have to be a new road cut?
Well, there's a site plan here for Dewberry, which shows a new road going into it, but, you know, we've got a lot of flexibility at this point in time.
Okay.
Yeah, they would need to build the road down to the back of their property. It'd be a part of the deal.
We could have Dewberry, if the board's interested, we'd have Dewberry take this plan and size it a little bit and, like I said, make it a little deeper, not so wide to minimize the road frontage being given up. But hopefully it's not necessary. Hopefully PCC can work it out with this process.
Well, you're thinking ahead, man, playing chess. That's admirable. Thank you for bringing that information to the board.
Yes, sir.
It's kind of, but this came before, this came up before this vote.
It came up earlier as a scale building.
Yeah, and I think it was some price, otherwise negotiating on this thing too. I think I remember.
Was it an offer made for on the lane?
There was an offer made on the lane, it was, and then I think we got turned down because we wanted to hold the property for casino-related investments. But that's before we knew we got $10 million investment. The county's already offered incentives to this prospect amounting to just under $300,000 in tax savings over 5 years.
So are you asking the board to take any action tonight, or
No,
you just
sir.
trying to make the board aware?
Make you aware.
Are there any more questions or comments about the industrial park project? There being none, we'll move on to item number 11. That will be Dr. Pamela Senegal. Project update.
The door is locked because the library is shut. So I think she might have to work. But she should have wrote me on, she probably wouldn't get it.
Emily was here.
She
Emily was here.
She left to call Dr. Senegal to see what the problem was, but she never came back. Don't know what happened.
Okay, well. Moving on. Board and committee appointments, action item, Tony Smith.
Yes, sir. Tonight we have, one application for the juvenile crime prevention council. When he's going off, but she's reapplied, so.
It's the pleasure of the board.
Make a motion, put Ms. Dahl on the board.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, if I could intervene, if we did have a motion to open the floor for nominations.
Yes, sir. We have a motion to open the floor to nominations.
So moved.
Okay,
All right, now I'll nominate this, we're gonna go on the board.
yes, sir. Second. Do we have a second for that?
Second. Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, motion carries. Is that the only?
That's the one I have planned tonight.
All right, moving on to item number 13, revision to hiring rate policy. Tony Smith.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, as you were aware, earlier today, we reviewed, revisions to our payroll program. From the NCACC. And I wanted to present it to the board tonight for discussion and possible action. Let's see if we want to move forward with that, recommendation from NCACC. Basically, it's Castle County Pay and Classification Ordinance fiscal 2024 changes. And eliminating the starting pay and it's having only minimum midpoint and maximum for our discussions.
Was I was not mistaken that she said the minimum was already budgeted into the budgets instead of the starting salary. 6 months you get to the minimum, it was already budgeted in the budgets for these positions.
She did say that, and I don't think it's gonna affect any employee, I may be wrong, but I doubt it's gonna affect any employee at this point in time. This is just moving forward.
This moving forward from
Yes, sir.
any hires from today on.
Yes, sir.
But what does it do?
Eliminates the starting pay, which is less than the minimum. She said we're the only county that she knows that it does that, but it's something we need to review change. Basically, in the past, we've got a starting rate, then after 6 months, we increase probation period, that probation period, and then we get an increase up to the minimum. And she proposes to eliminate that and start with the minimum or higher. And just have an probation period. Don't work out after 6 months, and make a decision.
I think it was a lot of information. You know, feel confident and appreciate the vote on it.
Can I ask HR question? How urgent, for lack of a better word, is, I know it's something that hadn't been done recently, or hadn't always ever been done a lot, but
Yeah.
if it was a month later down the road doing it, would it make a huge difference?
Not really, but the sooner the better before we hit the budgeting process, that way we've already got it in place. I mean, if we need to get back together and have another work session, just to go over and hash out some things, we can. And I can email you those too, Mr. Dickerson, since you wasn't here. But we can do that, or we can just bring it back to the next board meeting, just whatever y'all decide.
Mr. Chairman, I'm kind of the opinion of Commissioner Holt. I'm not saying it's good, it's bad, or whatever, but it's a lot of information, a lot. And an hour to look at it, I'd like a little more time to say.
I wholeheartedly agree with you, John.
And that being said, that December 4th meeting is already getting pretty full. You know, if we know that we got a 5 o'clock work session with the ladies. I suggested either the second meeting in December or the first meeting in January. So that's my opinion.
Well, we have the second meeting in December, typically we don't.
I said either. That's the reason I said either. I don't know which one.
I
If we
mean, if
don't
we,
have one,
we
at
need
least.
to wait till the second one, I mean, the first one in January, that's fine. And if you wanna do a work session just to go over, you know, we can send this information out via email as well for y'all to review. If you have any questions, you can always shoot me and John a call or an email. But if you want to have a work session, we can, or we can just put it back on the agenda. Cause it is a lot. And we really didn't expect y'all to vote today on it, but we wanted to put it on there just in case you did.
I personally, as an individual, I don't have a problem with waiting on this. I do have a question. I apologize. I know y'all already went over this, but this proposal is wanting to do away with the hiring rate and start any future employees at the minimum. Is that the crux of it?
Basically,
Yes.
it is. And it changes their classification.
It changes certain pay grades.
Well, I think raise is gonna go up.
Well, the pay grades go up, but I think she said that the salaries didn't change.
No,
at all.
there'd be no
They're just
financial
moving.
impact.
No financial impact.
to adopt that this future.
Well, I myself, I agree with Commissioner Holt and Commissioner Yarborough. I'd like to have some time to look that over. I think it'd be better served in January, but what's the pleasure of the board? What does the board feel like?
Yeah, I think that we need to have a work session on this. It's gonna cost, we gotta know where it comes from. I think those things are on the table in the work session. It's a good program. I think
I think that we should look at January before we do anything.
Then we need to look at this.
Mr. Chairman, I suggest that we have a work session an hour prior to our first board meeting in January.
I think.
Do you think an hour will be enough?
I personally, I do. Yeah, I don't want to do all 6 members of the board say, but I.
Well, let me, excuse me, let me be here on the second, because Monday is holiday.
I seem so right for him.
Well, there was a lot of flack last year about us canceling that meeting right before Christmas on the internet. And I know you said it's typically we don't do it, but I think we might want to consider that.
In December,
A lot of people out of town that week.
Not I'm just saying people listen to us not being.
I think we can decide that at the next meeting. Yeah. That's usually the case. My suggestion to you is a work session an hour prior to our normal board meeting, first meeting in January. And that will be the second, I'm sure. You said the first was on Monday. Yeah, the first one.
There's a motion on that. That's a motion you made.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Make a motion, I'll say.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Having an hour prior to the first meeting in January.
Thank you.
Thank you.
there's been a lot of meetings going on, but we gotta get a data from our secretary to get that, all those meetings to, I don't think she was here on all of them, those meetings.
Come back, get scheduled for clerk.
So that meeting, I don't know anything.
We'll get you. Yep, we'll make sure she gets it all out. If there is no more discussion with that, we'll pass that motion. Let's go to the next item, county manager updates. Mr. Smith.
Thanks. At this time, I'd like to current Johnson to give an update on that drone policy and proposed changes.
Yes, sir. I'll be glad to. Thank you, Mr. Smith, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. At your last meeting, there were several questions and concerns about the collaboration between the State Highway Patrol, local sheriff's department in regards to working together on public emergencies. So I was asked at the last meeting several questions about this, and I want to try to answer all of your questions tonight. And in analyzing these issues, I communicated with our local sheriff here in Caswell County, the Highway Patrol Sergeant in Roxborough, Person County, who I believe that's Patrol Troop D, District 4. I also reached out to the First Sergeant with the State Highway Patrol Office in Raleigh. So the first question that was posed was, the question was, what is the liability of the Highway Patrol? What type of liability coverage do they have in their department? So in researching that, I looked at the North Carolina General Statutes 20-194, which states in the event that a member of the Highway Patrol is sued in a civil action for acts occurring while they're active within the scope of their duties, then the Attorney General's office will defend such employee. And any potential civil judgment rendered as a result of the civil action shall be paid as an expense up to the limit provided in the NC Tort Claims Act, subject to the state's maximum limit of liability insurance. So just like sheriff's deputies here in Caswell County are covered under our county's liability insurance. The state highway patrol has a separate state liability insurance policy that covers them. Okay, so that covers the highway patrol. The next question was, can a state trooper ask EMS employees to assist in a law enforcement decision? So also in researching the general statutes related to the state highway patrol, there's no specific mention of EMS employees or emergency workers under the general statutes that cover the state highway patrol. But that being said, it doesn't prohibit the highway patrol from working with an emergency worker. The statutes do state that the governor's office that governs the highway patrol, they encourage cooperation between the state highway patrol and the local sheriff's department for the enforcement of all traffic laws. So the answer to that question, there's no language that explicitly prohibits an EMS employee from assisting the highway patrol. But certainly, an EMS worker is a county employee. So I think the county commissioners or the county manager would have discretion whether or not they would allow that employee to work in conjunction with the state highway patrol. Okay, and the third question, if Caswell County refuses to allow county employees to assist the state highway patrol, will this jeopardize state funds allocated for Caswell County? So also in the general statutes, it states in part that the Secretary of Public Safety, with the approval of the governor, may make arrangements for compensation of special services rendered by such local sheriff's deputies or officers out of the funds allotted to the state highway patrol. So I was a little curious as to whether the local law enforcement agency here in Caswell County receives funds from the state highway patrol. Commissioner Rose may be able to elaborate on this, but I did speak with the sheriff's department. They're not aware of any specific funds that come from the highway patrol, but certainly they have collaborated with the highway patrol in the past, especially a couple of years ago when the traffic incidents spiked on Highway 86. There was a campaign by the highway patrol to slow down the traffic and minimize accidents out there. So the bottom line is, if the governor does allocate resources to Caswell County for us to work in conjunction with the highway patrol, and we refuse to do so, then funds could be taken away. The next question that was posed, does the sheriff have an issue with highway patrol contacting the EMS to operate a drone on the highway patrol's behalf? And again, in speaking with the sheriff, there are no issues from them. So that would conclude questions that were posed at the last meeting. Certainly, I'll entertain any more questions or concerns at this time.
I have one. So did I understand you said at this time there are no funds coming from the highway patrol to the local sheriff's department in your knowledge?
That, to my knowledge, in speaking with the sheriff's department and the highway patrol office, not at this time. But the option is there for the governor to allocate resources.
Yeah, the options there for them to give everybody a huge pay raise if they wanted to, but I don't know how it's going to go down. Well, this board voted last time around to adopt the recommendation from the sheriff's department, as Tony Durden, the sheriff of the county, proposed to us. So is the matter closed now? I mean, that we adopted official policy on it. My understanding was that they need assistance. They would reach out to the sheriff's department, and the sheriff's department, in conjunction with the county manager, made the call if it was emergency. But after a certain point in time, the sheriff's department was going to have all their people trained that they needed. So after that is set in place, they wouldn't need us anymore. So it doesn't at all take care of itself.
That's my understanding, and a vote did take place at the last meeting, but there were additional concerns presented And I promised the board I would get back to you on these concerns. I just wanted to address those in case there are any questions.
Appreciate this.
All right. There are no further questions. I've got one more item to update. I appreciate Mr. Smith allocating the time for me to address the board. I just want to give you an update on the FOIA request that's pending. I did reach out to the IT director, Mr. Benson, a few weeks ago, and he was able to isolate the emails that had been requested as a part of that FOIA request. And he has presented those to me on electronic form, and I'm in the process of reviewing those emails to separate which ones are confidential and which ones are not. So I should have that completed by next week. And then I'll meet with the IT director again and we'll make the necessary arrangements to fulfill the FOIA request.
What kind of time does that take on your part?
And I did promise Commissioner Yarborough I would get back to him on that time. It's taken me about 4 hours thus far and probably another 4 hours to complete.
How many emails?
Approximately 2,000 emails.
What was the charge on that?
I don't know that an invoice has been presented by the IT department yet. My hourly rate based upon the county contract would be $200. It may be less than that. It's taken me about 4 hours thus far, and I'm anticipating it'll take at least 4 more hours.
They have to pay that prior to getting them more.
Not pursuant to the general statutes. That charge would be the county's responsibility.
You've lost me there for a minute. That charge, you're talking about your hourly charge?
Yes, sir.
I thought that's okay, but as far as the individual that was requested the material, whatever it has cost the county to get that material that they wanted, does that individual have to pay up front before the material is given to them?
That's my understanding. Yes, sir.
Gotcha.
And I'll meet with Mr. Benson again to determine the time he has in this process as well. Those are my updates at this time. I'll turn it back over to Mr. Smith.
Earlier today, Melissa Weeps and I met Jeff Brooks, who heads up the statewide Department of Information Technology. We talked about the new CAP program coming down, and we're in Fort now to where we're getting ready to crank it up. We talked about the amount of funds we had allocated to match. We talked about the total market grant that we had, and I think we're going to fall within the parameters that we were hoping to there. We've got $350,000, I believe, for a match currently for the CAP program. So that's going to amount to about $3.5 billion worth of connectivity. So it's going to be a pretty good number of houses. He couldn't tell me how much it was per house. That's going to be a large project. Additionally, we talked about getting an update from Zytel. That was a little bit concerned because we had not heard anything much from Zytel. They were promised to started within a month or so ago, and I've not seen any activity. So he's going to give us an update on that and see if he can get them underway. Lastly, we talked about, we talked to Piedmont Electric today, and they're going to provide us a $25,000 grant for broadband. And we're going to take part of that and put it with Spectrum's second phase great grant. And then what's it, 600 households?
Yes.
They're going to be connecting there. We had allocated money originally to Zytel and the great grant, but we never addressed the second phase of the great grant, which is going to be done by Spectrum. So that takes care of that $10,000 match required, giving us $15,000 to go towards your CAP project. So we hopefully we'll get that check this week.
So when do you see the light at the end of the tunnel? I know you've got to hear back.
Well, it's I hope we can get cranked up with the CAB project for first part of the year, spring of the year anyway. Because then we'll get started with the GIS surveys and so forth. So we're underway now. now that he knows we've got the money set aside for it, he's got millions of dollars to give away. He says in his fiat, he's got to give it away, so he's real anxious to get things going in the county. So we're gonna work with him hand in hand. So,
We were told, several times that second phase, what they didn't cover, we had the money set aside for that.
we've set aside money, I think we set aside $250,000.
That's the number.
With ITAL. But here again, we've not seen any progress out of them, but they're telling us they're doing engineering, if you can't say that, on the side of the highway. I think, after next week, we're gonna probably get a project report from ITAL. Let us know when they're gonna be in here and get things up. If their contract is, costing to be completely finished by May of 2025. So they've got about 3,900 households to connect, so it will start.
Are there penalties if they don't get it completed on time?
I do not know. I'll be honest with you, I do not know, but what I'm concerned with is they back out of contract. I want to see them move forward.
But that money that the county allocated, they don't get that until it works
They do
completely.
not, they do not. But if they pull out, then it's gonna set us back a year.
True. But we won't, what I'm saying is, we won't have any money invested in them
We will not.
if it falls through.
Right. But like I said, Spectrum has got the second phase, the great grant. And like I said, we're gonna be putting $10,000 match with them, so we just signed today the Form J to get them started, so they're underway. We'll be seeing some progress on that in the coming days. And we talked about also what's called the next stop.
Yeah, stopgap.
Yeah, stopgap, which take care of all those that were not covered by phase 1, 2, and 3. And that's gonna be completely paid for by the state. That's ones down the remote areas, the 2-mile pools into them. So it may take a while, but that's between the 3 phases in this last phase, it should cover just about everybody in the county.
So anybody in the county that wants broadband should be able to have access to it. Don't know what kind of time frame, but it will be available if they want.
Hopefully within 2 years.
Okay.
Hopefully within 2 years. So we had a really good meeting, Mr. Brooks, and he's there to help us. The next item, we're scheduled to have some film production starting December 1st, but that's been pushed back to spring of the year. They had some problems scheduling, so they pushed that back to spring of the year. Which may be a good thing, because starting next week, we're gonna start painting the courthouse. It's gonna take about 30 days, so hopefully by the first of the year, we'll be finished up with that. Audio, I did check on the audio, and we got a price on wireless speakers, wireless mics versus wired. The wired mics and audio equipment is just under $40,000. And wireless was just over $64,000. So I looked, I didn't find anything in the budget for that, so we may want to talk about that come budget time next year. That's the state of the art audio system. And if we decide to proceed, I'll have the seller come in and talk before about the specifications. Unless you want to proceed now, then find the money somewhere else. Be glad to do that too.
The difference in the wired and the wireless as far as sound quality, was there any?
He talked like the wired would be more dependable than the wireless. But you just have cords to do. But you get the platform now, I think you can go through the desk there and up on the platform and have 1 or 2 runs across to the processing unit to the side. That's a lot of money difference.
I definitely feel like we do need a better hearing system as soon as possible, because I was sitting on the other side of Jeremiah. I could not hear either, and I had something all confused until somebody else explained it to me.
Board commission, we will have simply find the funds somewhere and bring it back to the board next meeting.
Pleasure of the board. Questions, comments, Fields?
They can find the money.
Yeah, I would say the wire, no harder than that would be. Would be a better option.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
Just get it underneath that camp, I mean, the podium and then up to the desk. It's all you got crosses at one spot.
That's what I've got.
Okay.
Well.
Commissioner comments. Any comments by the board?
I would like to get this before tonight that I want in the agenda. I didn't have an agenda until I got here and I saw my hand passed out. And we usually get them ahead of time. I didn't get it. Maybe everybody else did.
It's on my email. I got an email.
I didn't get it. I got it after I got it.
Thursday.
Hmm?
It was sent out last Thursday.
You need this?
Mhm.
No, I got it on the, okay.
I never got it. I don't know what happened. It might have been my iPad.
You didn't get to your iPad?
No.
I got it on
I didn't.
I didn't get this to you.
Well, I didn't, and so it was mine that, and I'm okay with it, but I just thought it was sent out.
I guess we just need to make some, announcements that we will be here, since I guess you said the courthouse will be started,
That'll be next week, yes, sir.
next week, so maybe we meet up after none of these hearings.
That's correct.
So we need to send something out saying the public meeting will be here.
Correct.
Any other comments? If not, moving on to announcements, upcoming events, November the 23rd through the 24th, 2023, county offices closed to observe Thanksgiving holiday. December 2nd, 2023, parade and Christmas tree lighting, 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. December 4th, 2023, Board of Commissioners meeting at 6:30, and it will be at the library, not the historic courthouse. That's correct. December 9th, 2023, Pelham Winterfest, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Pelham Community Center. And with that, there's nothing else. Entertained motion to adjourn. You have a second? Everybody in favor of adjournment, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? No adjournment.